Have you ever heard a story so intense, so unexpected, that it completely changes how you see the heroes of the past? Today, we're diving into one of those stories, a tale from the ancient Book of Judges that features one of the most surprising and formidable women in history. This isn't just a story of war and strategy. It's the story of Jael, the woman who single-handedly brought down a feared military commander when an entire army could not. Our story begins in a time of great turmoil for the Israelites. For 20 long years, they had been brutally oppressed by Jabin, the king of Canaan. His power was enforced by his commander, a man named Sisera, who commanded an intimidating force of 900 iron chariots. These weren't just simple carts. They were the tanks of the ancient world, symbols of overwhelming military might. The Israelites were trapped, their spirits broken, living in constant fear under Sisera's iron fist. The highways were unsafe, people hid in the mountains, and hope was fading fast. But in the midst of this despair, a remarkable leader emerged. Her name was Deborah. She wasn't a king or a general. She was a prophetess, a judge who settled disputes for her people under a palm tree. But her wisdom went far beyond legal matters. God spoke through her, and she carried a message of deliverance. One day, Deborah summoned a man named Barak. She told him, "The Lord, the God of Israel, commands you, go, take with you 10,000 men from Naphtali and Zebulun, and lead them to Mount Tabor. I will lead Sisera, the commander of Jabin's army, with his chariots and his troops to the Kishon River, and give him into your hands." Now, you'd think this would be a moment of heroic acceptance, right? But Barak hesitated. The fear of Sisera and his 900 iron chariots was real. He looked at Deborah and said, "If you go with me, I will go. But if you don't go with me, I won't go." He needed her presence, her divine connection, as reassurance. Deborah's response is one of the most pivotal moments in this story. She agreed to go, but she delivered a stunning prophecy. She told Barak, "Certainly I will go with you. But because of the course you are taking, the honor will not be yours, for the Lord will deliver Sisera into the hands of a woman." Barak probably assumed she was talking about herself. After all, she was the powerful prophetess leading the charge. But destiny had a twist in store that no one saw coming. So Barak gathered his 10,000 men, and with Deborah by his side, they marched to Mount Tabor. When Sisera heard that the Israelite forces were mobilizing, he was confident. He gathered his entire army, all 900 iron chariots, and his vast number of soldiers, and advanced to the Kishon River, ready to crush this rebellion once and for all. The stage was set for an epic battle. On one side, a massive, technologically superior army led by a ruthless commander. On the other, a much smaller foot soldier army whose only real advantage was the high ground and a leader who spoke for God. As Sisera's chariots thundered across the valley, Deborah gave the command, "Go! This is the day the Lord has given Sisera into your hands. Has not the Lord gone ahead of you?" At that moment, something extraordinary happened. The biblical account says the Lord routed Sisera and all his chariots and army. A sudden, torrential downpour turned the valley into a muddy swamp. The mighty iron chariots, Sisera's greatest asset, became his downfall. They were stuck, immobilized in the thick mud of the Kishon River basin. The Israelite soldiers charged down from the mountain, and the Canaanite army was thrown into complete chaos. The battle turned into a slaughter. Seeing his army decimated and his precious chariots useless, Sisera made a decision. He abandoned his chariot and fled the battlefield on foot. He was a general without an army, a powerful man now reduced to a desperate fugitive, running for his life. His only thought was survival, and he ran towards what he believed was a safe haven. He headed for the tent of a man named Heber the Kenite. The Kenites were a nomadic clan who had a peace treaty with King Jabin, Sisera's boss. So, in Sisera's mind, this was neutral territory, a place where he could find refuge. As he approached Heber's camp, a woman came out to meet him. This was Jael, Heber's wife. She saw the exhausted, panicked soldier and said, "Come, my lord, come right in. Don't be afraid." Her words were welcoming, offering a sanctuary from the chaos of the battle. Sisera, desperate and seeing no other option, entered her tent. This was a significant act. In that culture, a man entering a woman's private tent was a serious breach of etiquette, but it also meant he was placing himself entirely under her protection. Inside, Jael covered him with a blanket, hiding him from any potential pursuers. He was exhausted and thirsty from the battle and the flight. He asked her for a little water, but Jael did more than he asked. She didn't just give him water. She opened a skin of milk, a richer, more nourishing drink, and gave it to him. This act would have further reassured him. It was a gesture of hospitality, lulling him into a false sense of security. After he drank, he felt safe enough to give her an instruction. He said, "Stand in the doorway of the tent. If anyone comes and asks you, 'Is anyone here?' say no." He believed she was his ally. Completely exhausted, he fell into a deep, deep sleep. And this is where the story takes its shocking turn. Jael saw her opportunity. This man lying in her tent was the oppressor of Israel, a brutal commander responsible for 20 years of suffering. The peace treaty her husband had with his king meant nothing in the face of this moment. She knew what she had to do. Quietly, she picked up a tent peg, one of the long, sharp stakes used to anchor the tent to the ground, and a hammer. These were the tools of her everyday life, the tools of a woman who managed a nomadic household. She approached the sleeping general, the man who commanded armies and rode in iron chariots, now completely helpless before her. With a resolve that is both chilling and awe-inspiring, Jael positioned the tent peg against his temple, and with one swift, powerful blow of the hammer, she drove it straight through his head and into the ground. In an instant, the great and terrible commander Sisera was dead. A powerful warrior who had escaped an entire army was defeated not by a sword or a spear on the battlefield, but by a tent peg in the hands of a woman in her own home. Soon after, Barak arrived at the camp, still in hot pursuit of his vanquished enemy. Jael went out to meet him, just as she had met Sisera. But her message was very different. "Come," she said, "I will show you the man you're looking for." She led him into her tent, and there he was, Sisera, lying dead on the floor with the tent peg through his temple. Deborah's prophecy had been fulfilled, but in a way, no one could have ever predicted. The honor of defeating the enemy commander didn't go to Barak, the general of the army. It went to Jael, a seemingly ordinary woman who seized her moment with astonishing courage and decisiveness. The story of Jael is complex. It's brutal, it's graphic, and it challenges our modern ideas of heroism. But in the context of her time, she was celebrated as a national hero. The Song of Deborah and Barak, one of the oldest passages in the Bible, praises her above all other women. It says, "Most blessed of women be Jael, the wife of Heber the Kenite, most blessed of tent-dwelling women." Jael's story is a powerful reminder that heroes can come from the most unexpected places. She wasn't a soldier, a prophetess, or royalty. She was a woman living on the fringes of the conflict, who used what she had, her wits, her courage, and the tools of her daily life to bring about a monumental victory. She saw an opportunity to end a generation of oppression and took it, decisively and without hesitation. Her actions secured peace for Israel for 40 years. She didn't just topple a giant of a man. She helped topple an entire system of oppression. It is a story that forces us to look beyond the battlefield to find true strength and courage. It shows that sometimes the most significant acts of history aren't performed by armies, but by a single individual who dares to act. What do you think of Jael's story? Is she a hero, a ruthless killer, or something in between? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. It's a story that has been debated for centuries, and for good reason. Thanks so much for watching and exploring this incredible piece of history with me. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and subscribe for more stories that you might not have heard before. See you in the next one.